Magandang tanghali po sa ating mga kababayan at sa mga miyembro ng Malacañang Press Corps. Thank you for joining us for this Friday's briefing. Today, we are starting off with the latest Interagency Task Force Resolution, IATF Resolution number 153, which was approved yesterday by the IATF. Ito po ang nakasaad sa resolution. Una, na-escalate po ang bansang Portugal sa red list simula 12:01 a.m. ng December 12, 2021. Kailangang sumailalim sa testing and quarantine protocols for red list countries, territories, and jurisdictions ang mga pasahero na nanggaling sa Portugal within 14 days immediately preceding arrival in the Philippines. Those who arrive on or after 12:01 of December 12, 2021. Mamaya ay idedetalye po natin kung ano ang testing at quarantine protocols na ito. Simula 12:01 a.m. ng December 15, 2021 naman, hindi na papayagan ang pagpasok sa Pilipinas ng mga pasaherong galing o nanggaling sa Portugal sa loob ng 14 na araw bago ang pagdating nila sa Pilipinas. Anuman ang kanilang vaccination status, ang papayagan lamang ay ang mga Pilipinong bumalik sa bansa via government-initiated repatriation, non-government-initiated repatriation, at bayanihan flights. To repeat po, starting 12:01 a.m. on December 15, 2021, only returning Filipinos will be allowed to fly in from Portugal, whether it be via government-initiated repatriation, non-government-initiated repatriation, or bayanihan flights. Sa mga pasaherong dumating naman bago ang December 12 at kasalukuyang sumasailalim sa quarantine, kailangan nilang makumpleto ang pinairal na testing at quarantine protocols nang sila ay dumating sa Pilipinas. Pumunta naman tayo sa testing at quarantine protocols ng returning Filipinos na pinayagang makapasok sa Pilipinas via government-initiated repatriation, non-government-initiated repatriation, at bayanihan flights mula sa red list. Unahin muna natin ang fully vaccinated individuals. Kailangan magpakita ng negatibong RT-PCR test taken within 72 hours prior to their departure from the country of origin. Ang mga pasaherong darating sa Pilipinas galing sa ibang bansa. Kailangan din po nilang sumailalim sa facility-based quarantine with an RT-PCR test taken on the 7th day. They may be discharged from the facility upon release of a negative RT-PCR test but shall observe home quarantine until the 14th day of arrival, with day of arrival being the first day. We urge those required to observe home quarantine to really do so. As we have stressed the past few weeks, there may be a drop in new cases but we cannot be complacent. Alang-alang sa inyong mga mahal sa buhay, paki-observe lamang po ito. Ito naman ang protocol para sa mga unvaccinated, partially vaccinated, or those whose vaccination status cannot be independently validated. Kailangan magpakita ng negatibong RT-PCR test taken within 72 hours prior to departure from country of origin ang mga pasaherong darating sa Pilipinas mula sa ibang bansa. Kailangan din nilang sumailalim sa mandatory 10-day facility-based quarantine with RT-PCR testing on the 7th day. They may be discharged from facility only upon completion of the 10-day facility-based quarantine regardless of the negative RT-PCR test result. And plus, they shall observe home quarantine until the 14th day of arrival, with the day of arrival being the first day. Ulitin na po namin, ang susunding testing at quarantine protocols ng mga bata or minors ay ang testing at quarantine protocols ng magulang or guardian na kasama ng bata sa biyahe, anuman ang vaccination status ng bata. Ang mga batang may edad 3 at pababa saan mang bansa sila galing, ay hindi na kailangan magpakita ng negative RT-PCR test result bago ang boarding. Maliban na lamang kung makikitaan ng sintomas ang nasabing bata. Sa mga pasahero naman na nag-transit lamang sa mga lugar na nasa red list, hindi sila maituturing na galing o nanggaling sa lugar na iyon kung sila ay namalagi lamang sa airport at hindi na clear na pumasok ng immigration authority sa lugar na iyon. Pagdating ng Pilipinas, ang mga pasaherong nag-transit lamang mula sa lugar na nasa red list ay kailangan sumunod sa pinairal na testing at quarantine protocols. Sa lahat ng mga galing sa red list na sumailalim sa facility-based quarantine sa petsa ng pagpapatupad ng resolution na ito na aking nabasa, you may retroactively avail of the approved testing and quarantine protocols. Kabilang po rito ang France, na kung matatandaan po natin ay naisama na natin sa red list effective kaninang 12:01 a.m. base sa IATF Resolution number 152-A. Samantala, inaprubahan din ng IATF ang mga rekomendasyon ng Technical Working Group. Una rito ang request ng Commission on Elections na magsagawa ng nationwide mock election exercises sa December 29, 2021. Pangalawa, tinaasan sa 7,000 ang 2021 annual deployment ceiling ng mga bagong hire na healthcare workers para sa mga trabahong natukoy ng Department of Labor and Employment bilang mission critical skills. Unahin ang mga nurse na ang visa ay mapapaso na sa katapusan December 31, 2021. Sa usaping bakuna, mahigit 1,000,000 o 1,017,900 doses ng Pfizer vaccine na binili ng pamahalaan ang dumating sa Pilipinas. Sa ngayon, nasa 25.8 million doses out of 40 million government-procured Pfizer vaccines na ang dumating sa bansa. Nasa mahigit 95 million na ang total doses na ating na-administer ayon sa December 9, 2021 National COVID-19 Vaccination Dashboard. Tingnan po natin ang breakdown ng bilang na ito. Nasa mahigit 54 million ang naka-first dose. Nasa mahigit 36.5 million ang naka-second dose. Nasa mahigit 3.6 million ang naka-single dose na Janssen. At nasa 691,012 ang naka-booster or additional doses. Sa makatuwid, nasa mahigit 40.1 million or 52.11% ng target population ang fully vaccinated sa buong Pilipinas. The importance of vaccination cannot be overstated given the emergence of the Omicron variant as a variant of concern. Malinaw po na kailangan nating paigtingin pa ang bakunahan dahil sa pagsulpot ng Omicron. Kaya, 5 tulog na lang, sa 15 ng Disyembre ay magsisimula na ang second round ng ating bayanihan bakunahan. Kung 10.2 million ang ating na-administer na COVID-19 vaccines mula November 29 to December 3, 7 milyon naman po ang ating target mula December 15 to December 17. We again appeal to our countrymen and countrywomen who have yet to be vaccinated to please get vaccinated. Magpabakuna na po tayo. May bakuna na po tayo. Napakalinaw po ng ebidensya. Vaccines work. Kita po yan sa mga numero ng ating COVID cases sa kasalukuyan. Kaugnay nito, hayaan ninyong muli ako magpasalamat sa lahat sa naging matagumpay na unang National COVID-19 Vaccination Days. Sa mga LGU na may highest improvement in their average jab rate. Congratulations sa General Santos City bilang best city. Congrats naman din po sa Tawi-Tawi, bilang Best Province. At congratulations naman sa BARM bilang Best Region. Sa mga LGU na may highest number of jabs for the 3-day National Vaccination Day, congratulations sa Rodriguez, Tansa at Arayat bilang Best Municipalities. Congrats din sa Cebu City bilang Best City. And congratulations din po sa Laguna bilang Best Province. At dahil hindi na natin problema ang supply ng bakuna, kailangan natin ng maraming volunteers sa malawakang bakunahan na gagawin po natin next week. We urge those who have been vaccinated to pay it forward and help out if you can. Naka-flash po sa inyong mga screen ang form na kailangan sagutin. Pumunta naman po tayo sa COVID-19 update. Nasa 562 ang mga bagong kaso ayon sa December 9, 2021 COVID-19 case bulletin ng DOH. Nananatiling mababa ang positivity rate, nasa 1.6% na lamang ito. Nasa 97.8% naman po ang porsyento ng gumaling. Nasa mahigit 2.7 million na po ang naka-recover. Malungkot namin binabalita sa inyo na kahapon, 176 ang naidagdag sa bilang ng mga pumanaw dahil sa coronavirus. Nasa 1.76% ang ating fatality rate. Ito ay nananatiling below the 2% global average. Nasa below 30% naman ang ating hospital utilization rate. Sa ibang mga bagay, ngayong araw, 10 ng Disyembre, ay ating ginugunita ang International Human Rights Day 2021. Ipinagdiriwang natin ngayong araw ang ika-73 anibersaryo ng Universal Declaration of Human Rights or UHDR. Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea, who chairs the Presidential Human Rights Committee, sends his message, which I would read in part and would send a copy to the Malacañang Press Corps. And I quote, "In a few more months, the administration of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte will come to a close. But we find satisfaction that during the past 6 years, the President consistently introduced and implemented programs and projects to reduce inequalities and advance human rights. A few of these initiatives include unprecedented free tertiary education, universal access to healthcare, a massive scale infrastructure development, social amelioration to broaden the Filipino middle class, and an aggressive campaign to contain the pandemic's surge and its ill effects on people's health and the economy. Further, the administration had given its utmost effort to curb the proliferation of illegal drugs and criminality, to put an end to the decades-long struggle against local and international terrorists, and to eliminate deeply entrenched corruption in many government offices. The success of these endeavors had benefited our people who deserve protection and justice as much as the rest of us. The innocent victims who have suffered at the hands of heavy drug users, terror groups, corrupt government officials, and criminals. More than 5 years ago, the President made a promise that his administration will pursue social justice based on equal treatment and protection for our country's poorest and most vulnerable, bring about improvement in our people's welfare and standard of living, and make human rights work to uplift human dignity. We all have seen those promises fulfilled, even in the midst of a pandemic which has affected us all." End of quote. Good news po, the Philippines is a new entrant to the Climate Change Performance Index or CCPI, and immediately our country ranked 23rd in climate protection performance. The CCPI tracks the performance of 63 countries and the European Union on greenhouse gas emissions, renewable energy use, and climate policy. Another good news, the Philippines improved its ranking in the 2021 Global Health Security Index or GHSI, released by the Nuclear Threat Initiative and the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security at the Bloomberg School of Public Health. We are ranked 57th out of 195 countries, 4-notch improvement from the 2019 ranking. According to the report, and I quote, only 37% of countries have made public commitment to share surveillance data, and only 5 countries, which include the Philippines, made commitments to share data specifically for COVID-19. End of quote. Samantala, nakikiramay po kami sa pamilya, kasamahan sa trabaho, at mahal sa buhay ni Jesus Jess Malabanan. Iniimbestigahan na po ito ng mga otoridad. They are exploring all angles, including the possibility that the killing was related to his work as a journalist. The government will exert all efforts to ensure that those responsible are caught, charged, and convicted for this crime. Dito po nagtatapos ang ating presentation at dahil 14 na araw na lamang ay Pasko na, inimbitahan po natin si Director Beverly Ho ng DOH para pag-usapan ang Ligtas Christmas Healthy Pilipinas campaign ng ating pamahalaan. For it to be a very Merry Christmas, we urge the public to heed the advice of our public health professionals, starting with Dr. Ho. Dr. Beverly Ho.
Hello, magandang hapon po, Kabsec, at magandang hapon po sa lahat ng nanonood sa atin ngayong araw na to, no? Friday, December 10. Mula po sa Department of Health, inaanyayaan po natin ang lahat ng Pilipino na makisali po para magkaroon po tayo ng ligtas Christmas sa Healthy Pilipinas. So meron lang po tayong mga kaunting paalala, no? So kung makikita nyo sa screen nyo, maraming mga regalo, no? Mga gift boxes. Pero ano ba ang laman nitong mga regalong ito? We want everyone to practice healthier and safer options during the holiday season. Kasi alam natin, kating-kati na tayo lahat, no, to be with our families and our relatives. So because we all worked hard to get to this point na medyo mababa na po yung kaso natin at marami-rami na po yung nabakunahan, pwede po tayo mag-celebrate, no? But we encourage everyone to celebrate safely. And these are the 5 main things that you can actually do. So bakuna, airflow, mask, hugas, at iwas. Am I able to share my screen? Okay, thank you. So para po sa bakuna, no, we encourage that when we do these celebrations, we allow only fully vaccinated individuals into the venue. No? This is also for our protection, but as much for the protection po of our of the guests. No? We also encourage vaccination, not just of COVID-19 for anyone 12 years old and above, but of course, the routine vaccination for all children less than 13 years old. These are still available in all your health centers or with your pediatricians. And so the children should also need to be vaccinated. As for airflow, we encourage everyone to conduct their activities or their reunions or gatherings in outdoor areas. No? And as much as possible, we need to avoid indoor settings with poor ventilation. So how do we make sure there's good ventilation? By opening doors, windows, electric and exhaust fans. No? And you can use some of the gadgets that are available also to measure airflow. As for mask, we encourage everyone to continue to wear the appropriate PPEs and only remove our mask when it's time to eat. No? Pero kapag balik na sa celebration, sa mga palaro, then kailangan naka-mask na po. We are reminding everyone that there's actually an alert level system-based number of people or capacity that we can only accommodate, no? Especially in indoor areas versus outdoor areas. So it's currently flashed on screen because most of the areas in the country are in alert level 2. Tandaan po natin, basta kapag nasa indoor, 50% capacity lang tayo, at kung outdoor naman, pwedeng 70% capacity. And syempre, we thank all the venue operators who continue to strictly abiding by these guidelines. So the last two boxes or the last two gifts are related to pag-iiwas or physical distancing and making sure that when we are symptomatic, hindi po tayo pumupunta sa mga party. If you don't feel well, please be considerate about other people. We also should avoid games or activities that will involve close contact interaction or those that involve loud singing, shouting, or similar actions. No? Syempre, we still prefer pre-packed or plated meals, para hindi po tayo lahat nag-gather habang kumukuha ng pagkain. Finally, washing our hands and making sure there are hand washing stations and hand sanitizers in the area. So the second portion of being safe during Christmas season is Iwas Paputok. And this is in collaboration with several other government agencies that you can see with DTI, DILG, Bureau of Fire Protection, and the PNP. So we encourage everyone to join community firework displays, have safe alternative activities, and also know saan po yung mga first aid, mga kailangan gawin at mga pwedeng puntahan just in case meron pong mangyari. So finally, our last healthy tips for everyone is to make sure that yung mga hinahanda po natin ay ma-healthy, less salt, less sugar, and less fatty. We also encourage everyone to hydrate with water, but less with alcoholic beverages and sugar-sweetened beverages. Refrain from contact sports, but use this time during the holidays to be able to exercise. Only go to areas where they strictly enforce smoke-free environment, lalo na kung indoors. And lastly, to perform appropriate self-care activities. On your screen, we also provide you some of the important numbers, quitline, at crisis hotline na ongoing 24/7 po sila kahit holiday. So feel free to call them. Yun lamang po, isang paalala mula sa Department of Health at makikita nyo sa screen nyo mga links po sa mga materials na maaari nyo pong gamitin in your own companies, in your workplaces, sa mga communities para ma-download nyo na lang po yung mga paalalang ito. So maraming salamat po, Kabsec. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Maraming salamat, Dr. Beverly Ho, sa reminders to the public on how we can celebrate Christmas safely. Thank you. Please stay on. May mga katanungan din ng ating mga kaibigan mula sa media. In the meantime, let's go to Yusek Rocky for the Q&A.
Yes, good afternoon, Secretary Nograles and kay Doc Bev. Una pong tanong mula kay Rosa Licos ng UNTV. Kaugnay po na hindi ma-allocate na travelers galing South Africa dahil sa maling impormasyon. Nabanggit na po ni Health Secretary Francisco Duque III na ikinukonsidera na ng IATF na sampahan sila ng kaso. Gaano kadesidido ang IATF dito? Hindi kaya magresulta ito na lalo pang mahirapang ilocate ng mga otoridad ang mga biyahero? Ano rin ang partikular na kasong isasampa at parusa sa mga hindi nagbibigay ng tamang impormasyon sa ilalim ng Notifiable Diseases Act?
Well, una sa lahat, gusto ko lang pong ibalita na 4 sa 7 ay nahanap na at nakikipag-ugnayan na po sa ating pamahalaan. At kampante naman po tayo na mahanap natin yung 3 pang nilolocate natin. Panawagan na lamang po doon sa 3 na tayo naman po ay ang hiningi lang naman po natin ay ang kooperasyon ninyo. So sa 3 ay pumunta na po agad at mag-report na agad sa mga authorities at napaka-importante po ng inyong kooperasyon, especially na may kinakaharap po tayong itong pandemya, itong public health emergency po natin. So we ask for your cooperation and please report to the proper authorities immediately.
Opo. Ang second question po niya regarding po sa political caravans, lalo na yung maraming nagkakatipon. Wala nang social distancing at iba pang nalalabag na health protocols. Ano po ang aksyon ng IATF kaugnay nito? May pwede bang kaharaping kaso at parusa sa mga organizer nito? Ano po ang paalala ng Malacañang kaugnay ng mga ganitong event?
Alam niyo po, dito sa laban against COVID, kailangan po nating lahat magtulungan. Ano po? So una, sa mga nagpa-participate sa mga caravans na ito, no? Itong mga supporters, tandaan po natin na mask, hugas, iwas, bakuna, okay? Una sa lahat, yung mga pupunta sa mga ganyang klaseng mga events, please make sure na fully vaccinated po kayo. Please make sure na naka-mask po kayo. Please make sure na meron po tayong distansya, no? At least 1 meter. And then of course, practice sanitation, yung hugas ng kamay, make sure na lagi tayong protected, kumbaga. So we really need the support and cooperation ninyo, yung mga supporters na pupunta sa mga events na yan. Pangalawa po, sa mga LGUs, local government units, local chief executives. Alam niyo naman po kung itong mga naging challenging months and weeks para mapababa natin itong bilang ng COVID. Huwag natin sayangin lahat ng accomplishments po ninyo, kayong mga nasa LGUs. So, make sure that meron tayo itong mga guidelines, no? Sa mga resolutions ng IATF, maging sa DILG, sundin po natin kung ano yung mga nakasaad dyan sa mga resolutions at mga guidelines po natin, no? Panawagan, of course, sa DILG, tuloy-tuloy naman po yung pagbabantay ng DILG at mga enforcers natin on the ground. And then finally, to the organizers. Sa mga organizers natin, the same message. Alam nyo, lahat naman tayo, we're all in this together. Ano po? Lahat naman po tayo ay nagsisikap para talagang mawala itong virus, itong COVID na ito sa ating bansa. So again, wag natin sayangin, no? Ang lahat ng efforts ng bawat isa sa atin, lahat ng kababayan nating Pilipino, lahat ng ating mga government agencies, lahat ng LGUs. So let's take that responsibility to ourselves, no? Lahat tayo, we're responsible to one another. So magtulungan po tayong lahat.
Secretary, may follow-up lang po si Tuesday New tungkol dyan ng DCBB. Obviously, hindi nga po nasusunod. Ano po ang gagawin sa mga lumalabag?
So the DILG right now is currently doing its assessment, nakikipag-ugnayan sa lahat ng mga LGUs. We are now consistently and constantly reminding, no, lahat ng mga LGUs. Kasi pagdating kasi sa ground, it's really the LGUs that have they're our first line of defense in terms of the implementation of all of the guidelines, protocols, resolutions, no, lahat ng mga pinairal natin na mga kailangan nating gawin. So it really belongs to the LGUs as our first line. And when I say LGUs, kasama rin dyan yung barangay, ha. So reminder lamang, but ito'y pinag-uusapan namin sa IATF, and the DILG is currently coordinating with all of the LGUs again to remind. Alam po natin na hindi pa tayo strictly nasa sinasabing campaign period. Pagpatak ng campaign period, ibang usapan naman yan kasi COMELEC na po ang magte-take over, no? So right now, we're also coordinating the handoff with COMELEC kasi pagdating na ng campaign period, dito na papasok to ang implementing power and authority na rin ng COMELEC. But in the meantime, it's really with the DILG and the LGUs, the barangays, to really step up efforts, no, to ensure na lahat ng minimum public health standards and protocols natin ay sinusunod. Yusek Rocky?
Mula naman po kay Lanes Capanti ng GMA News Online, do we have enough supply for COVID-19 vaccine booster shots in stock for the entire eligible population for 2022?
Yes, based on the GAA, kung kung hindi magbabago sa General Appropriations Act, no, or sa right now kasi nagba-BICAM na ngayon ang House of Representatives at ang Senado to finalize the proposed budget for 2022. Pero dun sa sinabit po namin sa Kongreso na proposed budget natin for the vaccines for next year, 45 billion po ang nakalagay dyan. And we await ano yung maging final version ng budget as approved by the Bicameral Conference Committee ng Kongreso. And I hope that intact pa po yung budget na 45 billion para po sa karagdagang vaccines for 2022. Can we go to, thank you Yusek Rocky. Please stay on. We'll go first to Mela Lesmoras ng PTV.
Hi, good afternoon, Secretary Nograles at kay Dr. Beverly Ho at kay Yusek Rocky. Secretary Nograles, unahin ko lang po yung tungkol nga sa holiday season. Natalakay po ba sa IATF kung may chance kaya na mag-alert level 1 sa kalahating parte ng December? At kasi marami na rin pong nag-uuwi ang mga pasahero, may chance rin kayong ipag-utos na ng IATF ang full deployment ng mga provincial buses para mas maraming masakyan yung ating mga kababayan.
Pinag-uusapan po ngayon sa IATF yung tungkol dun sa provincial buses, no? So it's an ongoing discussion among selected member agencies ng IATF para maplansya natin yung detalye tungkol po dyan. Now, with regard sa Alert Level 1, we are still awaiting, no, yung final conclusive data coming from the WHO with regards sa Omicron variant. Kasi tatlong bagay po yung tinitingnan natin with regard to the Omicron variant, no? Number 1, yung transmissibility. Number 2, yung severity. At number 3, yung mga breakthrough infections kahit na bakunado. So right now, ito yung hinihintay natin. Puro preliminary data pa lamang ang pinapadala kasi ng WHO sa atin. That being said, again, we're not yet ready in terms of the finalization ng parameters for Alert Level 1. Ito'y work in progress pa rin po sa IATF. So, tuloy-tuloy naman mga IATF meetings natin. So, abangan na lang po natin ano yung maging kinalabasan nito. But again, we're waiting for more conclusive data from the WHO with regards sa Omicron.
Opo. So, CABSEC, may chance na tuloy-tuloy po yung alert level 2 hanggang sa pagtatapos ng taon. Malaki po yung chance nito.
Well, it would appear unless nga we get more conclusive data from WHO. So, unless we get that, kasi right now, puro preliminary data lang eh. Kaya hindi kami wala pa yung comfort level, kumbaga, ng IATF to definitely put and set and finalize the parameters for Alert Level 1. So, dahil ganun nga po, then we'll wait and see, no? Kasi it's a developing thing with the WHO. So parang we're getting data, they're sending us data, but nothing so conclusive enough to give us enough comfort sa IATF.
Opo. And CABSEC, about lang sa Summit for Democracy, kumusta po yung naging participation ni Pangulong Duterte sa Day 1 ng Summit? At ano po kaya yung lalamanin ng speech na mamaya para sa Day 2 naman?
Well, right now, it is happening as we speak. So, we will issue a statement. The palace will issue a statement immediately after. And then papadala na lang po namin sa ating mga kaibigan sa media.
Opo, at panghuli na lamang po, Secretary Nograles, ano lang pong reaksyon ng Malacañang, lalo na't may mga bumabatikos sa participation dito ni Pangulong Duterte dahil taliwas umano ito sa mga human rights violations sa bansa. Ano pong masasabi ng Malacañang dito?
Well, I think yung imbitasyon sa bansang Pilipinas, no? At ang pakikilahok at pagsali ni Pangulong Duterte dito sa summit na to ay pagkilala sa demokrasya na umiiral po dito sa ating bansa.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Capsec.
Thank you, Mela. Let's go back to Yusek Rocky for more questions from the media.
Yes. Thank you, Secretary Nograles. Ang tanong po mula kay Chris Maralit ng Manila Times, pero natanong na po ito ni Mela Las Moras about dun sa Democracy Summit. Tanong po mula kay Laila Salaverria na Inquirer, DOH Secretary Francisco Duque III said the President wants to inoculate 90% of the population before he steps down. What is the game plan to achieve this? Will national vaccination days be a regular thing, or will the palace consider pursuing mandatory vaccinations?
Well, can we flash that slide on our accomplishments now sa vaccination? So, ang target po natin para sa end of 2021, ang target po natin ay magkaroon tayo ng fully vaccinated na 54 million Filipinos fully vaccinated. So, if you can see, nasa 40.1 million na po tayo. Ang target natin is 54. So, sabihin natin na 40 yan, and then we hit our target na 7 million, no? Hopefully, dadagdag tayo ng 7 million sa next round or second phase natin ng bayanihan bakunaan, then we'll be closer to the 54 million na fully vaccinated. Tapos, yung ating next target, sa first quarter naman ng 2022, ang gusto natin mangyari is 77 million Filipinos fully vaccinated for the first quarter of 2022. So that's about kung 54 and then the difference between 54 at 77 is about 23 million, no? So we have 3 months. Sabihin natin we hit the 54 million end of December. Then we'll have 3 months to hit 23 million target. 23 million target for the next 3 months going to March of 2022. And then for the second quarter, and this would be the last quarter of the administration of President Duterte, we want to add another 22 million more in the remaining 3 months. That would put us to 99 million Filipinos fully vaccinated, no? Diyan sa by the end of term of President Duterte. So ganun po ang mga sinaset nating targets para hindi na po mahirapan yung next administration once we hand it off to them, no? So these are rough targets. We are finalizing the targets as we speak. But again, these are just rough estimates ng mga targets po natin. Then we'll just consistently update the targets as we go along.
Opo. Tanong naman mula kay Neil Jerome Morales ng Reuters News, may we ask for Malacañang's comments on the Supreme Court decision to invalidate parts of the anti-terrorism law? How will President Duterte and his allies respond to this SC decision?
Well, first of all, we have to wait for the full decision. We have to wait that na matanggap muna namin yung full decision from the Supreme Court, no? So as we speak, wala pa po sa amin yung final and full decision written and complete. So hintay muna namin, but asahan po natin na pagdating po sa amin ay the Office of the Executive Secretary will coordinate and consult with the Office of the Solicitor General kung ano yung magiging susunod na hakbang natin pagkatapos namin mabasa yung buong final decision mula sa Korte Suprema.
Thank you, Secretary Nograles.
Thank you. Let's go to Trisha Terada of CNN.
Hi, good afternoon, Sec Karlo. Sir, first question, what is the IATF going to do? I understand na po may nahanap ng 4 out of the 8 unlocated passengers from South Africa. But what is the IATF going to do in terms of possible lapses sa contact tracing efforts natin? Is this some sort of a red flag? Could this be a sign na may problema tayo sa contact tracing efforts natin?
I think what we should emphasize muna sa ating mga kababayan is to please provide the proper information, no? So yun po yung number one dyan. Everything stems from there. If you provide us with the proper information, then it becomes easier for us to do the job, no? But kung hindi yung proper yung information, then obviously you will be giving us challenges. So yun po yung kailangan nating idiin sa ating mga kababayan, na responsibilidad po natin lahat na ibigay ang tamang impormasyon.
Sure, but how are we going to address concerns for those people who refuse or who are maybe hesitant to give the proper information? One, for fear of how their data will be handled, or two, takot lang din ma-hassle. Those things, how are we going to address those?
Well, meron tayong di ba, may batas po tayo, yung Notifiable Diseases Act, which actually imposes and mandates for everyone to provide the proper data and information. And in fact, nakalagay doon, no, kung lahat ng mga kailangan, especially under a public health emergency. So that is the law that we are currently executing and implementing right now. Pero that being said, I would again like to appeal doon sa mga hinahanap po natin na makipag-ugnayan po agad, no, and cooperate with the authorities, no. This is for everyone's good, no. Not just for your good, but para sa lahat ng kababayan, para sa sambayanang Pilipino, no, para sa sambayanang Pilipinas. We all have to understand na importante talaga mag-cooperate and to really submit the proper data and information.
Sek, balikan ko lang po yung question doon sa caravan
Yes.
and yung possible parusa or penalties. Sir, I understand there's pressure on the LGU to impose strict measures, but shouldn't the candidates equally be held accountable for these things? Kasi sir, di ba parang kung halimbawa at this moment hindi na nila makontrol yung kanilang mga supporters, wouldn't that say a lot about the kind of leadership that they espouse?
I think this is shared responsibility of everyone. Kaya nga yung pagsagot ko po ng tanong is lahat po tayo may responsibilidad, no? Maging supporter ka man, organizer ka man, ikaw man ang kandidato, pati na rin yung LGU, no? Lahat yan, shared responsibility po yan ng lahat. So I hope that we take our shared responsibility seriously, given na ang haba na ng pinagdaanan natin, no, for how many months in this war against COVID-19. Wag po natin sayangin ang efforts ng lahat.
Sir, shared responsibility, but kanino dapat yung, kumbaga, yung pressure, kanino dapat yung bigger responsibility of that shared responsibility?
It's shared, no? So I think everyone, kasi you know the danger about saying na hindi, responsibility na yan, nagtuturuan na eh. And that's what we wanna avoid, no? It's shared responsibility. Maging supporter ka man, di ba? Kung supporter ka ng kandidato, dapat alam mo ng repercussions din sa kandidato mo, di ba? Yung candidate, ganun din. Kung mahal mo rin yung mga supporters mo, then you also have to be careful, no? LGUs, ganun din. Mandated yung responsibility by law. Yung mga barangays natin, no? So, we all have our role to play. We all have our responsibilities, not to ourselves, not only to ourselves, but sa ating pamilya, sa ating community, sa ating mga kababayan. Kaya, I'd like everybody to understand that it is everyone's responsibility.
Sir, final question na lang on another topic. May any chance na pag-usapan po ba sa IATF yung redefining of what a fully vaccinated individual is, considering that we're now opening ito pong booster shots? Would we consider ba na 3 dose na yung booster shots or wala pa pong sa ganun yung usapan ng IATF?
Yeah, this was asked also in the previous press briefing po natin. No? Right now, hindi pa namin talagang we in the IATF, hindi pa namin masasabi yan. We have not come to a decision yet with regard to that terminology. Because right now, ang pinaprioritize po talaga natin yung mga hindi pa naka-first dose at syempre yung mga kailangan pa mag-second dose. So, para hindi lang po ma-confuse muna ating mga kababayan, we wanna prioritize those who need the first dose and those who also need the second dose muna. And hopefully, with the Bayanihan Bakunahan Phase 2, we'll be able to hit our targets for the fully vaccinated and increase those who need their first dose.
All right. Thank you very much, Spoke. Salamat po.
Salamat din po. Let's go back to Yusek Rocky for other questions from the media.
Thank you, Sir Karlo. Tanong po mula kay Chris Jose ng Remate Online. May grupo daw po ng provincial bus ang umaapela sa gobyerno ng full operation sa Kapaskuhan. Ang apela na nagkakaisang samahan ng nangangasiwa ng panlalawigang bus sa Pilipinas Incorporated sa gobyerno ay magbukas ng ibang ruta at pumayag sa muling pagbubukas ng kanilang terminal. May posibilidad ba na pagbigyan ng pamahalaan ang apela na ito ng nasabing grupo?
Pinag-uusapan na po yan sa IATF at meron po tayong mga napiling mga ahensya na kumbaga mag-uusap about the concern at issues po tungkol dyan. And sa lalong madaling panahon, hopefully we'll be able to come up with a program soon. No? So ano lang muna, let's give our concerned agencies a chance to discuss that issue.
Opo. Tanong pa rin po mula kay Chris Jose ng Remate Online para po kay Doc Bev. Simula po nang pumasok ang buwan ng Disyembre, nagsimula na ang pangangaroling sa mga bahay-bahay. Since marami pong kabataan ang nabakunahan, safe na po ba daw mangaroling? Papayagan na rin ba ang street party ngayong Kapaskuhan?
Sa pangangaroling po, alam natin na kinakailangan, bukod sa bakunado, kailangan po naka-wear ng mask, di ba? Kasi may chance pa rin po tayong makapag-spread, no? So as long as ginagawa naman yon at may distancing, yes, okay lang po sa atin, no? Pangalawa po, dun sa street party, syempre kung sa street, yung party ay alam natin, open air yun, well ventilated. Pero mahalaga din po na alam natin yung bilang ng tao na kaya lang i-accommodate sa lugar na yon. And for that, meron naman tayo kung outdoor area siya at nasa level 2 tayo, 70%. No? So as long as kaya ng ating local authorities or ng organizers to make sure that that happens, na ma-enforce yung mga guidelines na yon, pwede, no? Pero kung wala tayong kapasidad to enforce those guidelines, sabi nga ni CABSEC, we have to be equally accountable, then hindi po natin dapat pag-isipan pa any of these parties.
Opo. Susunod pong tanong ay mula kay Jopel Peleño ng DWIC. Sandali lang po, nawala ito. Ang tanong po niya para kay Sec Karlo and kay Doc Bev, base po sa statement ngayong araw ng Department of Health, there's no Omicron variant that was detected in 48 positive swab samples na sequence po ng Philippine Genome Center last December 8. Does this mean na may possibility o big possibility na pwede nang ibaba ng IATF sa alert level 1 ang malaking bahagi ng bansa or the whole country?
I will defer to Doc Bev.
Yan. Thank you, sir. Parang nasagot naman po ni CABSEC yun kanina po. Sinabi niya na hinihintay pa po natin yung mga detalye tungkol sa Omicron variant para po madesisyonan kung bababa po tayo ng alert level 1. In the meantime, marami na pong maluwag na guidelines ngayon sa alert level 2. So let's just continue to perform the minimum public health standards para wala po tayong makikita any pagtaas ng kaso after this or during this holiday season.
Yusek Rocky, actually yung tuloy-tuloy pa naman din po no yung ginagawa nating genomic sequencing, yung active surveillance po natin. If you look at the IATF resolutions po natin, nakalagay naman po doon na active surveillance ang ginagawa natin, especially for those returning from overseas. Then of course, kung may mga positive cases, no, very targeted din po ang genomic surveillance and sequencing po natin. Again, that is currently being done to make sure at malaman din po natin ano yung mga variants na nandito po sa ating bansa at of course, special attention kung may Omicron. Gusto ko rin pong dagdagan yung sa sinagot ni Director Dr. Bev Ho kanina, dun sa mga parties na sinasabi, number one, makipag-ugnayan po muna sa LGU. Okay? So, wag niyong isipin na, okay, pwede to, pwede hindi. Hindi po. Makipag-ugnayan muna sa LGU because there will be some LGUs that will have requirements. So, wag ito i-generalize na, okay, sige, pwede na, di ba? LGU po, number one, go to your LGU, makipag-ugnayan kayo sa LGU ninyo before you plan anything. Tulad ng mga party-party na street party or what. Go to your LGU muna.
Opo. Susunod pong tanong ni Jopel para po kay Doc Bev. May mga natitira pa bang samples na kailangan daw pong i-sequence ng PJC? Ilan po daw ito?
Hindi po natin yan masasagot ngayon, no? Kasi tuloy-tuloy naman po. Every time may ma-sequence po, ay may test na positive, no? Na dumadating galing sa ibang bansa. Tuloy po yun, no? Basta it reaches a threshold of yung CT less than 30, mapupunta na po yun agad for genomic sequencing. So, tuloy-tuloy lang po yun. The numbers can change every hour po. Thank you.
Opo. For Sec Karlo from Jopel Peleño pa rin po ng DWIC, may mga passenger po sa paliparan na nakakaranas na maiwan ang kanilang flight dahil lamang sa kabagalan po ng ilang LGU. Partikular na ng ilang staff di umano ng Dumaguete City sa Negros Oriental na magproseso at mag-release ng SPAS na yung ibang passenger na ito ay pawang mga senior citizen pa. Ano po ang maaaring gawin ng IATF or ng DILG regarding this matter?
Opo, well, we'll bring this to the attention ng DILG na makipag-ugnayan din po sa mga LGUs with regard doon. Pero siguro we'd also like to remind the passengers, no, na sa responsibility din po natin na to fill up the requirements or the forms na kinakailangan, well, you know, days, hours before the flight. Para hindi po ma-hassle. At maaga po, the sooner that you fill up the forms, the sooner that you fill up the data and information, then the less the chances na magkaroon ng ganyang klaseng aberya.
Opo. Mula pa rin po kay Jopel Peleño ng DWIC, after daw po na maiwan ang kanilang flight ang mga pasahero, sinabihan sila ng airline company na hindi daw nila maaring i-refund at bigyan ng libreng rebooking dahil hindi naman daw sila pasok sa company guidelines under force majeure. Bunsod ng hindi naman daw ang airline na nagkamali kung bakit sila naiwan ng flight, kundi ang LGU. Kaya ang ilang naiwan ng pasahero napilitan na muling gumastos at bumili ng ticket para lamang daw po makalipad on that day, pauwi ng kanilang lalawigan, particularly nga sa Dumaguete City. Bakit hindi pwedeng i-consider ang ganitong mga insidente under force majeure ng mga airline? May pananagutan ba ang LGU sa mga ganitong insidente?
Yung sa concern na yan, we will refer to DOTR, no? For DOTR na makipag-ugnayan po sa airline companies, siguro to provide the reminders dun sa mga pasahero po nila. And sa DILG din, no, na makipag-ugnayan din sa mga concerned na LGUs. But again, we'd also like to remind the passengers na para hassle-free po, then I think kailangan kung ano man mga forms na kinakailangan natin i-fill up, we have to do it immediately. Alamin po natin kung ano yung mga required na mga forms pag lumilipad po tayo or pupunta po tayo sa ibang lugar dito sa ating bansa, no? So I think everybody has to be just aware and informed kung ano yung mga requirements per LGU. Then sundin po natin, wag natin kung the earlier that you can know and fill up those forms, do it para less hassle at hindi po magkaroon ng ganyang klaseng aberya. But yung concern na yan, we'll refer it to DOTR. Yusek Rocky, may tanong po dito, yung sa fully vaccinated by end of term. Pasensya na, 77 naging na. It's 90 million po, 90 million fully vaccinated. Yung target po natin for end of term ni Pangulong Duterte. Na double numbers, kaya pasensya na po.
Opo. Karlo, kasunod pong tanong mula kay Creseling Katarong ng SMNI. May update daw po ba o any update kung kailan daw po magpapa-booster shot si Pangulong Duterte?
Ay, wala pa po. Again, this is something between the President and his personal physician. So let's wait. Hintayin na lang po natin.
Opo. Sunod po niyang tanong, may bagong kandidato daw na i-endorso si Pangulong Duterte. Kailan kaya posibleng i-anunsyo ito ng Pangulo? May idea ba ang Malacañang kung sino po ito?
Again, let's wait for the President to make the proper announcement. If and when he decides to make that announcement, hintayin na lang po natin.
Opo. From Ivan Mayrina ng GMA News, in an interview with reporters, former spokesperson Harry Roque said that as a personal observation, the President will soon realize that he cannot endorse just Mayor Inday as Vice President and added he will likely endorse BBM as President. Do you share the same observation?
Hintayin na lang po natin si Pangulong Duterte. If and when he decides to make that announcement, hintayin na lang po natin siya. If he wants, when he wants to make that announcement.
Opo. Yung second question po ni Ivan Mayrina na sagot niyo na Secretary about dun sa participation sa Democracy Summit ni President Duterte, si Alanes Capanti ng GMA News, does the palace agree with the statement of Health Secretary Duque that the 23 cities with 70% full vaccination rate still has no absolute protection as infection may come from other areas with low vaccination rates? Why and why not?
Alam niyo, we have to make it clear, no, na it's bakuna plus mask, hugas, iwas. It's mask, hugas, iwas plus bakuna. Lahat po yan, it's taken as one. Kumbaga, combined po yan. So, ibig po sabihin, sa nakikita natin na nangyayari sa iba't ibang bansa sa buong mundo na may biglang pagtaas ng bilang ng COVID cases or itong mga variants, hindi po pwede na bakunado ka lamang at dahil fully vaccinated ka, pwede ka na magtanggal ng mask or hindi ka na mag-social distancing or hindi na tayo mag-practice ng proper hygiene and sanitation, yung paghugas ng kamay. No, it's a combination. So, ganun po yun. Importante pong maunawaan at matandaan po natin yon na it's bakunado, fully vaccinated, tuloy-tuloy pa rin po yung mask, hugas, iwas.
Opo. Sir Karlo, ito patanong ito ng mga kaibigan ko sa gobyerno. Meron po ba daw aasahang service recognition incentive o SRI ang government employees this year just like what was given in the past 2 years?
I will ask the concerned agencies. I will relay the question to the concerned agencies po.
Opo.
Okay. Maraming salamat. Thank you, Yusek Rocky. Maraming salamat din po kay Doc Beverly Ho, Director of the DOH Health Promotion Bureau, sa mga reminders of the do's and don'ts for this Christmas holidays. Before wrapping up, In-report po ng World Health Organization na ang preliminary data ukol sa Omicron variant, and I quote, "The preliminary data doesn't indicate that this is more severe. In fact, if anything, the direction is towards less severity." Pero, dagdag pa ng WHO, we have highly effective vaccines that have proved effective against all variants so far in terms of severe disease and hospitalization. There's no reason to expect that it wouldn't be so for Omicron. End of quote. Bagamat magandang balita po ito, hindi pa rin ito dahilan para maging kampante. Nananatili ang ating panawagan, kailangan nating magtulungan. Mask, hugas, iwas, bakuna. Let us all do everything that got us to this point. Many of us will be able to see our loved ones because of our collective vigilance and because of the cooperation of everyone. So please, wear your mask, wash your hands, practice social distancing, and convince everyone you know to get vaccinated. Maraming salamat po. Ingat po lagi. Happy weekend. Thank God it's Friday. God bless you all.